And this is probably why the word revolution has such resonance, I believe, more than something like an insurrection or revolt or a coup d'etat, is along the lines of you can have, as you have described, Kareem, technological revolutions. And I would say modernity is actually defined by the technological revolutions. So you have like the revolution of steam power, you have the industrial revolution, you have
Telephone,
revolutions,
internet.
electricity, internet. You have the AI revolution that we're currently experiencing, quote unquote. So, like, technological revolutions are points at which society's tools, so um, I can't help but use a Marxist phrase here, but the productive forces, our technology, our social understanding, our scientific knowledge culminates in a development, and we are able to produce ourselves, reproduce ourselves, society, and the products that sustain us in a way that has been different to anything that has come before us. Now, these are, like I said, these are things that we use and we apply in daily life. However, there are social revolutions as opposed to technological revolutions, which is what we're discussing. And humans, I would say, are responsible for not only our own reproduction as individuals, but are responsible as social animals, for the reproduction of our species. And so we do that in various ways. We copulate and we have babies and stuff like that, and that reproduces the species. But
Yeah.
but I can get into more detail if you'd like.
I think I've heard that one
or the other way that we reproduce our species as social beings is we decide our social organization, and which is incredibly important, and like is what is supposed to be one of the defining features between us and like other great apes and stuff like that. They seem to have social structures as well, but they don't seem to be as fluid in the ordering of their social structures. They do reorder them, but within a particular type of hierarchy or framework that has kind of been tested and proven over time. Where as humans, though, we have the ability to move from very egalitarian structures to autocratic structures, to democratic structures, to technocratic structures, you name it. Humans can try to organize themselves around a structure, a hierarchy, however you want to call it, that serves the interest of the reproduction of the group, of the society, of the species. And that is actually our responsibility as humans in order to reproduce ourselves. And like, you know, if you think of human as like kind of the caretaker of nature, to help continue the longevity and the sanctity or the purity of the environment that we live in, as well, to help life reproduce, because we are organisms at the end of the day. We don't live in a vacuum. So like we do have to make sure our environment replicates itself in order for us to be able to survive and be in balance. And so our societal organization is key to our survival. And that's what a social revolution is about. It is the culmination of a large string of events, attitudes, theories, ideologies, important historical junctures, ideas, and, you know, larger than life characters in a lot of instances. And that culmination comes to a point where we sit down and we're just like, hey, is this really how we want to organize ourselves? Which is the meta, what did you describe it as?
Yeah, it's societal metacognition.
Metacognition. But like that's a fantastic like borrowing of psychological terminology to apply to the field of social revolutionary theory. I love it. Like, you know, because like it is like kind of this understanding of our larger consciousness, which is not just the individual. Like we do work as social beings here, and like how we choose to organize ourselves and where we put priorities. Like 4IS was saying, like, do we consider this an unalienable right? And is that unalienable right in perpetuity? Or is that unalienable right to be reviewed at said point in time? These are all important questions about how we reproduce ourselves as a society. And like history is riddled with societies that got their social organization wrong, and now they're just sitting in a history textbook somewhere, and that's as far as they have ever or will ever go.
You know, I love how much detail you've gone into around that, and particularly the part around environmental stewardship as well, which we want to expand on. But let me bring it back to the AI thing as well, and bridge the gap between the two, because in the same way that first point I was going to bring up was in the same way that we don't get a whole, like, if you don't have a plan for what you're going to do after revolution with power, like, you're doomed to failure. In a lot of ways, most people don't really know what they want to do with AI. We know it's cool, we know it can do a lot of shit, but we don't know exactly what we want to do with it. And that's why it hasn't really gone. It's like trying to figure out what to do with electricity when it rocks up. Like, if you were back in Edison's day and you just got electricity, there's no way you're thinking about computers. There's no way you're thinking about...
I know what people would have been doing, because it's something that I would have done as a child. Like, gone to the light switch in the room and be like, light on, light off, light on, light off.
That's not the limit of your thinking. That's where we are with AI at the moment. We don't have very good plans around exactly what we're going to do with it. Here's where it gets tricky, but and I'd love to hear your take on this as well, because one of the biggest challenges with AI is we've got these amazingly capable models that can do a whole bunch of stuff, including dangerous stuff, like write malicious code, like bioweapons, persuasion, like all sorts of stuff that doesn't pass the safety meter. And for AS, what you were describing were in the sunset clauses and sort of having to figure out, you know, like revisit these ideas of you know, what do we want included? Like, essentially within these AI models is embedded a type of constitution that is meant to represent the model creators' restraints around the model, saying, we don't want you to do this. This is how we want you to behave. Yeah, to make sure that you don't get up to any mischief, you don't do anything malicious, you don't do anything else. So these things are meant to get baked into the model via like a series of system prompts. Yep. Actually, you will love this story. Someone exposed a system prompt for Grok, which is talking. I can't remember the whole story, but it was talking about like misinformation and disinformation and Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And someone figured out that one of the system prompts for Grok was specifically designed to say, like, don't talk about like Elon Musk or Donald Trump, like, within the realm of like misinformation. I can't remember the exact story. It's worth looking up. It's hilarious.
It is.
So I exposed it.
That's so good, especially from the champion of free speech himself.
Totally, exactly. That was what was beautiful about it. But bring it back to the system prompt. This illustrates the power of the system prompt in terms of the output of the AI. Like, ultimately, we're entrusting the constitution of AI to these model creators. Now, does that represent what we want as a society? Should we put sunset clauses on this? For the most part, and I'll bring it back to the environmental stewardship thing that you were talking about before, because one of the bright ideas that I had was, everybody's talking about, we don't want it to hurt humanity. Yeah, we don't want it to do. But how exactly do we word that in a way that the AI understands and observes? Like, this is the power of language now. Like, this is where the nuance of language really comes to the forefront. Now, I was off with the fairies one night and had an idea. What if, instead of saying we're prioritizing humanity above all else, we explain to the AI, you are responsible for preserving the ecosystem of consciousness as a whole.